agenda. Before I do that, we have a lot to do. It's 7:15. We can cover the consent agenda and the resolutions, and I was going to suggest to council that on the city manager reports, there are 2 items there that we can push to the next.
Three.
3 items?
1, 2, and 3, we could push to the 28th.
Right. We do need to handle number 4, so in the interest of saving time, just want to say that. But let's go ahead and go into consent agenda and get started.
There are 3 items that have been pulled from the consent
Can
agenda.
I change my mind and not pull them? I had some questions, so what should I do? Let me
It's quick.
think.
Let's have your questions. We can pull
Okay.
them. Don't worry.
Okay.
All right. We'll deal with the remaining issues on the consent agenda. There are 4 that remain. Item 1 is approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of August 5th, 2014. Item 2 is a resolution awarding the Gateway Sign Construction Project at 7200 North Main to Robert Atkins Masonry Incorporated of Victoria, Texas for their sole bid of $27,790 and authorizing the city manager to execute all documents necessary to complete the project and declaring an effective date. Item 5 is a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute all documents necessary to renew the annual supply contract with Penco Incorporated of San Felipe, Texas for liquid ferrous sulfate in the amount of $101.04 per liquid ton for a total of approximately $40,416 based on an estimated annual quantity of 400 liquid tons and declaring an effective date. And item 6 is a resolution awarding the repairing and repainting of the interior wet, interior dry, and exterior of one 1 million gallon steel fluted pedestal elevated tank known as Tower Number 5, Victoria, Texas, located at 3800 East Mockingbird in Victoria, Texas, to Classic Protective Coatings Incorporated of Menominee, Wisconsin, for their low bid of $860,950, authorizing the city manager to execute all documents necessary to complete the project and declaring an effective date.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda items as presented.
Second.
Okay. Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, items passed. We'll go to D3.
D3 is a resolution awarding a bid for the replacement of 5 HVAC units to Schrader Refrigeration Company Incorporated for their low bid of $32,516, authorizing the city manager to execute all documents necessary to complete the project and declaring an effective date.
Any motion?
Make a motion, we approve D3.
Second.
Okay, motion second. Discussion? Questions?
I only wanted to ask, these are replacements of current units, and in the quotes, Schrader put on there that we're going to use Carrier, the brand that we're using, and the other guy just put quote brand specified. Was that the brand that we specified, Carrier?
Yes, ma'am, we specified Carrier brand.
Okay, and then on the bottom of his bid, he put on there that the equipment, the 5 tons may take 3 weeks for availability. Does that mean they will have it installed in the 30 days that they said they would, or are we going to have to?
Yes, ma'am, once we realized that he did have low bid, we were in negotiations with him, and he's already pre-ordered that in anticipation of that. Once the contract's executed, we should be fine with that.
Okay, so it's still going to be within it's going to comply with the contract, with the 30 days, so he said he would have it done by.
All the units, that's what, we'll see how that goes, hopefully.
Yes.
Okay, those are my questions.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Texas Purchasing Group, it requires you to pay a fee to submit a bid, right?
Be more into the purchasing side on finance of that, but the one that we subscribe to, I would think that would be true.
And question is that legal, I guess?
Oh, is it legal for Texas Bid Systems to charge the bidders?
In order to bid on a public project, you have to pay.
Well, it's an interesting question, and I don't represent Texas Bid Systems, and I don't represent that type of entity, so
Well,
I don't know that it's a great question, and I'm actually intrigued by it, and I will definitely be looking into it now, but I don't have an answer for you off the top of my head.
Okay, but you'll look into it.
Can we
absolutely
explain,
will.
give a little further explanation?
Yeah.
About what it is for everybody?
Texas Bid Systems, like several of the others that we use, HGAC and
Co-ops.
Buy Board, are all co-ops. They're intergovernmental contracts where different governmental entities combine their purchasing power, and typically the buy board or the co-op requires a fee to be paid either by the governmental entity who's putting out the bid or by the bidders who are bidding on that project. And Mr. Bucknight's question is whether it's legal for them to charge that fee. Since I don't represent them, I've never considered that question, but now that you've asked it, I'm curious.
I mean,
I don't see how not, but.
I think it's okay if they charge the governmental agency, but otherwise, to me, it's a pay-for-play.
Yeah, in other words, we're paying to be a member of the co-op. You're saying
It
that?
should be that okay. That's
Right,
okay.
right.
But not to charge the person submitting the bid in order just to bid on that contract.
Oh, yeah, I understand.
And that's what this one required.
And for the public edification, okay, I understand what you're saying. It's kind of like a Sam's membership, that a resident may pay to be a member. And these co-ops in particular, they do a little advertising in the interest of the group as a whole, so those fees cover some management. Of course, what you're saying here is these individual bidders paid to bid.
Yes.
Okay, now, I did not see that in here. Where is that noted in here?
It's not. It's information that I got from one of the bidders.
Okay, so I would suggest we get clarification on that very closely, if that's the case, because that's something the rest of us are not aware of. So you'll look into that?
Absolutely.
Would you respond to all of us with
I will.
what you find out about that?
I will.
I do want a clarifying comment, though. It is not illegal for us to use buy boards.
No, I understand.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
I know, I'm just clarifying that for anybody that's listening. A second deal, what we're doing by using the buy boards, there is nothing illegal about that.
Absolutely.
Your question is on the other end for the contractor.
Well, I think you'd have to
Have
be
access.
careful on which buy board we used then, depending on how they're set up.
That's-
structured. Maybe.
That's exactly right. That's
Maybe. Right.
Most of them most of them are set up to be inclusive because it's in their best interest of their members. So, anyway, okay. Thank you for
Great
sharing
question.
that with us. Let's see, we have a motion and a second, correct? All right.
Yes, we do.
No further discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right.
Item D4 is a resolution authorizing the purchase of 14 Panasonic FZG1 ToughPad mobile digital terminals and 35 Panasonic Arbiter in-car cameras from Panasonic via GovDirect in the amount of $283,792.13 and declaring an effective date.
Make a motion, we accept item D4.
Second.
Okay, motion and second. Discussion, questions?
The only question I had was, I know we're only getting 14 of the cameras right now, or the
Computers,
computers. Okay, we're getting all 35 cameras.
yes.
Okay, by any chance, are we going to be able to grandfather the price on the computers, or, because I know we're going to buy the other 21 within the next calendar year.
Right, and I believe the answer is yes, that we already have that ready to go. It's just a matter of waiting until after the next budget cycle, next budget year. But
Okay.
we have our pretty much assurances from Panasonic and the deals listed through GovDirect that'll be the price.
Now, did I understand that you already ordered all the mounts for all 35 cameras and computers, right?
We ordered the actual computer itself that has the in-camera and the Tahoe mounts that actually support the computer system. Now, if we were to change over to a different type of vehicle, then we would have to relook at those mounts again.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's all I wanted to know. Thank you.
Okay, any further questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, D7.
D7 is a resolution awarding the 2013-14 storm sewer line cleaning project to CSI Consolidated LLC of Phoenix, Arizona, through their Texas branch at 3808 Knapp Road in Pearland, Texas, for their low bid of $140,930, authorizing the city manager to execute all documents necessary to complete the project and declaring an effective date.
Make a motion, we approve item D7.
Second.
Questions?
Okay, I know this is just to change the name, but we awarded this contract back when, in July, or June the 17th?
That's correct.
Okay, normally they start the job pretty close to the date that we awarded.
No,
Have they
it's-
started it yet?
It's typically, no, because we don't have a contract yet. It typically takes about 45 to 60 days to get a contract after you award it. But in this case, in that time period, we were unable to get it, and you might want to address it. It's because of their name registration with the Secretary of State, and so they were registered under their parent company, CSI, instead of CleanServe. They bid it as CleanServe. We awarded it as CleanServe. They were actually registered with the Secretary of State as CSI, who is their parent company. And so we're having to come back and re-award to the parent company.
That's a great explanation, and I would only add one thing to that, because he's exactly right in what he said. But the reason that we had to go through this rigmarole is that as a corporate entity, they're not authorized to do business in the state. No corporation is, except in the name that they are registered with the Secretary of State. And so as a governmental entity, we choose not to do business with anyone who is not registered. So since we awarded the contract to the wrong name, we can't do business with the company that doesn't exist that we awarded it to, and we can't do business with the company that we awarded it to because it doesn't exist. So we have to we had to go back to the beginning and sort all that back out.
Okay, I understand that now. My question now is, are we going to get in trouble with somebody else that bid under the right name and we awarded this to somebody that didn't have a name?
We should not. There could certainly be a challenge to the bidding. However, the bid has not changed at all. If you allow a company to make a change to their bid, which we're not doing here, it's acceptable as long as you allow all the other bidders to make the same change. So we could allow someone else to make a change to their name if they wanted to. But even if they did, it wouldn't change the value of the bids here. And so I don't think it would change anything.
Okay, just checking the legality. Okay, that's it.
Thank you. No further discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay.
Thank you.
D7 passes. Thank you, Mr. Short. Resolutions.
Resolution E1 is a resolution awarding a bid for the purchase of software for the utility billing office to N. Harris Computer of Tyler, Texas for their low bid of $410,445, authorizing the city manager to execute all documents necessary to complete the purchase and declaring an effective date. And Mr. Mayor, the following resolution is very similar to it, and would you like to consider both resolutions at the same time or to discuss them together? If so, I just would go ahead and read the caption first.
It would make it a little easier with the conversation because it's the software package that we've been.
We still need two votes, though.
Dean,
We still need two
you need to
separate
vote
votes.
separately, but if we could
Okay.
just, that way Jared and Donald can.
Continue, yeah, go ahead and get them
All
both. Read, go ahead and read.
E2 is a resolution awarding the bid for purchase of software for the development services in City Secretary's office to Tyler Technologies of Yarmouth, Maine, for their proposed price of $408,281, authorizing the city manager to execute all documents necessary to complete the purchase and declare an effective date. And I think what would work most clearly here is if we were to discuss both of them first, then take a motion on them separately, individually. So let's have the discussion before making motions.
That's fine. Okay. Questions, council, on either one of these? I have one comment, but go ahead.
Do we need to make a motion to discuss?
No, we're going
No.
to do
We
discussion
discuss
first.
first.
Since we're
Normally I would,
discussing
but
both of them together.
we'll dispense with that here and go ahead and just have any discussion on both, either one of them.
Since we're doing two different ones, right?
That are related.
One's for the utility billing software and then one's for the development service and city secretary software.
But they're both from the same computer company.
No, they're
No.
from different companies.
No, they're from
So are they
separate.
going to communicate?
Why don't you give us a
Yeah, I
debriefing of
I
what
have,
they are?
I have some comments prepared that may help us get to where, show you how we got to where we are today. Good evening, Mayor, members of council. I appreciate y'all letting me come up here and discuss this with you. If you remember during the budget process for this year's budget, y'all approved $848,000 for the purchase and installation of software and hardware for the utility billing office, development services office, code enforcement, and city secretary's office. The goals, there were several goals that we wanted to reach with this purchase implementation, but the four main ones were, one, to phase out the AS400 based software that the UBO has. It's about 14 years old. It's become obsolete, and we don't have anybody on staff that can program that anymore. If it breaks down, we're kind of at the mercy of our current software provider, and their hourly rate's pretty stiff. So the second goal was to provide for more integration between the departments, those departments that I mentioned, increase our customer service, and increase staff efficiencies. Beginning in January of 2014, staff put together an RFP that listed these goals, and we advertised that on February 9th. We received 6 responses, which are listed in your CM1, and we opened them publicly on March 5th. After reviewing the responses and meeting as a group, we formed a committee, software committee. We chose to contact Tyler, Harris, Quintel, and Cogsdale, 4 of those 6, and asked them to come to Victoria to perform demos of their software. Once the demos were completed, that committee got back together again, and we decided to contact both Harris and Tyler and have them provide us some contacts where we could set up site visits so we could go see some of their current customers that are using their software. Those site visits were conducted in May and included visits by UBO staff to Quadvest, which is located in Tomball, and who is a third-party billing provider. They bill for not just one entity, they bill for several cities, some electricity companies, things like that. So we got a real good idea of what they did. And they use Harris. UBO also visited the city of League City, who uses Tyler Munis. Development Services staff conducted a site visit with City of Deer Park, who uses Tyler Intergov, if I remember correctly. After the site visits were complete, the committee met again to discuss which direction we wanted to move in. We had several lengthy discussions, talked several times and about the pros and cons of each package. During those discussions, it became apparent that there really wasn't a proposed software solution that would meet the requirements of one division without sacrificing some efficiencies in another. So with that being said, we decided to look at what could be gained by maybe looking at different software packages. And after looking at those, we found that 3 of those 4 main goals could still be met. We could still phase out the S400, increase our customer service, increase some staff efficiencies. So at that time, it was decided that UBO would negotiate an updated proposal with Harris, while Development Services, City Secretary, and Code Enforcement would do the same with Tyler Intergov. I want y'all to keep in mind that one of those, one of those goals was to provide for more integration between the departments. While this software don't directly talk to each other, because it's an updated software, it's newer software, it's got more functionality on both sides, we feel that we are going to get some more integration. An example of that is going to be, right now, TAP applications is a very manual process between Development Services and Utility Billing Office. That process, as many TAP applications we take in every week, there are times where we drop the ball. Not pointing fingers, it just happens, it's human error. With this new software, those manual processes go away, and their automatic emails can be sent out from Development Services to UBO back to, I mean, we can set those business processes up to increase the current functionality that we have. It's not directly integrated. No, they don't talk to each other, but there are definitely increased functionalities that we will see. That's kind of how a brief synopsis of how we got to where we are today. We feel that this is in budget. It meets our needs, and I think it's going to get us where we need to be. I'll be happy to answer any questions. In addition, Julie Kinney, VP of Business Operations for Harris, is here, and is along with Cindy Schofield. She's a Texas Territory Manager. And of course, Jared is here to answer any questions you may have on the Development Services side.
Council?
Because they can't communicate with each other, is this going to create future problems?
I don't believe it will. I think, we have that situation right now, and we don't have the functionality that these are going to offer us. I think that you're right, they won't communicate directly to each other. Now, 3 of them will. City Secretary, Code Enforcement, and Development Services, they're all going to communicate. It's the same software package. UBO is choosing a different one because it provides us some efficiencies that we wouldn't have gotten with Tyler's solution. But I think overall, it's going to improve us.
Is the custom modifications on the Harris Utilities one, what is that? Just some things you've already requested?
Yes, sir. We have some custom reports that we currently do manually because our system doesn't allow us to. We just have to do them manually every month. Those reports, we've asked them to look at that and get those to where it automatically populates those reports. We don't have to spend the time doing it every month.
What's your reoccurring for like next year and beyond? I mean, I know you've got your one-time software licensing fees.
For the Harris, that price you see in there is for 5 years. And then after that, whatever that number is divided by 5 would be roughly our reoccurring fee every year. 26, after 5 years, 26,250 for maintenance.
Well, you're gonna have more. There'll be more things. And I mean, I don't mean that critically.
No, I understand.
Okay.
Okay, it says on here that, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. We're going to have 25 users on the one from Harris. How many employees do we have at UBO currently?
Currently, we have 14 at UBO. Keep in mind that this is also granting access to solid waste. They currently have some access to our billing software so that they can keep track of their customers, as well as Code Enforcement Development Services currently have some access to our current software. So we're keeping that same access. These are concurrent licenses. There's more than 25 people that use it, but they don't all use it at the same time. So we thought 25 would get us where we needed to be.
Question for you, Mr. Mayfield. In this software package, does this allow you to do the permitting online now?
Yes, sir, it does. It'll allow us to do those basic permits online. It will allow us to create a customer portal, just like the UBO software will, where we'll be able to
Request inspections, check on.
be able to request your inspections, be able to check on them, have email notification on the status of those almost as soon as the inspection is done. It gives us that field mobility that we don't have today, where the inspectors will be out there with a handheld tablet and being able to process those inspections, and immediate notification can go out to the contractor if they've signed it.
Right there at the contractor's office? Inspection?
Well, it's meant to be paperless, so it'll send them an email with the results. But we have looked at, wireless printers going in the city vehicles or something like
No,
that.
I mean, but I'd say if I had an inspection and it passed or got red tagged or whatever.
Right, that status could
It
be
would go-
emailed to you immediately and all
Have
set
the
up.
report there and be able to either
Right.
give it to the general contractor or address any red flagged items.
Right.
And the permits, would you be able to then, would you print off your permit too? Same,
You'd be able to print off your
post it?
permit, post it on the job site,
okay.
instead of coming to the
Sounds
office and picking up
Good.
paper. It
That's a
allows us
big-
to do a number
That's a
of,
big leap forward.
it's a huge
And-
leap forward. It allows us to move even our plan submittal. Y'all are familiar with the Planning Commission submittals, having both been on that. This allows us to eventually move that entire process to electronic.
And how about receiving payments? Can you, like if a resident would like to pull his own permit for something, can you then accept Visa, MasterCard, or
Be able to
whatever?
do the credit card payments.
Type it in and
Yes, sir.
be done with all that? Great.
Light years ahead of where we are.
Oh, yeah.
I have one more
Thank you.
question. Sorry. Are we going to need additional hardware for any of this? Is it just, I know it's just all software, but you have twice you put on there that leaves $29,000 for hardware. Are we looking at spending some money?
We have actually two options available to us. One of the things is, as we're doing these servers, we're virtualizing that. So it reduces the number of physical hardware that we can do. Option one is we can go ahead and just purchase the servers we're planning on doing, utilizing the existing funds, $29,000, and just scale down the amount of memory that we put in those units. Or the other option is that we do have still additional funds within my budget in that cost center that we can just go ahead and purchase it at that $32,000. To your discretion.
You're going to be using the cloud to do some saving now? I mean, to store data?
It is a cloud. The cloud is sort of stored here locally.
Oh, okay,
It's
so it's not the cloud up in the sky?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a low cloud.
Okay, it's a low line, low line cloud, okay.
Local cloud,
Kind of a fog.
sort of foggy.
Okay.
Yes, it's virtual hardware,
Not
so
real
it
cloud,
is
just
here.
fog.
What if it's just fog?
That's about what I'm feeling right now.
Very good, okay. Thank you. Now, we need a motion on E1.
E1 is the utility billing.
I make a motion to approve in a second.
Motion second, okay. We've discussed, so all those in favor of E1, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay. Now we need a motion on E2.
E2 is development services and city secretary.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second on E2. Discussion. I just want to thank y'all for your work and your research and figuring out what you need. Thank the two reps for being here. We appreciate your patience very much. This is important to us, so thank you again. Okay, no further discussion. All those in favor of E2, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, anyone opposed?
I'm sorry, aye, I'm in
Okay.
favor.
That's all right. We're all tired, so they both passed unanimously. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
E3.
E3 is a resolution approving an amendment to the Victoria Sales Tax Development Corporation's programs and expenditures for fiscal year 2013-14, allocating $1,625,506.97 for the Fire Station Number 6 project and declaring an effective date.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion second, and we did discuss this to some extent already, so I assume there's no further discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay. We don't want to go to E4.
We've been
I move that we reconsider,
Beat me no
That's
more.
almost funny, Mr.
I
Allen.
withdraw that.
I'm the only one that can do that.
Yeah, no, anyone can make a motion. All right, a resolution, E5 is a resolution approving a change order number 3 to the Odom Street wastewater treatment plant offsite utilities and access road with Rock and Q Construction LLC, and authorizing the Director of Public Works to execute a change for the rehabilitation of 9 manholes along US Highway 59 North between Loop 463 and Highway 87 South in the amount of $142,715, bringing the new contract amount to $4,140,185 and declaring an effective date.
Second.
Motion and second. Is there any questions for Mr. Short? These are all out there on the loop, is what I call the loop.
Adjacent to the frontage roads that are being constructed.
How are you doing? Sorry.
Go right ahead.
How are you doing on your overall budget?
We're just barely beginning the project. We're fine. This funding is not coming from the wastewater plant bond. This funding's come out of water wastewater budget. We'll just provide that funding to this contractor that's doing the offsite.
Okay. Any further questions on number 5?
Y'all fix the loop number on the resolution?
Yes, we did, thank you.
Wrong. It's about 5 different names out there now.
Yes, it
I
is.
know.
I-69, whatever. Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Aye.
One opposition, okay, thank you. Now, the city manager reports, 1, 2, and 3, we can postpone to our next meeting,
Which is next Thursday, the 28th.
Thursday, the 28th. That's a little out of
That's
normal for us, but of course, that's due to our need to adopt the budget on a timely basis. You guys okay with that, moving those to then? Okay, so we still need to deal with F4.
F4 is the possible sale of 1302 Pleasant Green. Mayor and council, we were approached recently by a citizen who is interested in purchasing that parcel of land that the city currently owns. It's about a quarter-acre parcel on Pleasant Green Drive. The reason she wants to purchase it is to build a house near her mother, who I believe lives next door. That's not really material to this conversation, but this part of it is. That property was bought originally by the city after the 1998 floods with some grant money to try to eliminate buildings that were in the floodplain. It is not what we call a FEMA buyout property. Those of you who were here in 98, and I wasn't, will remember that the FEMA gave money to the city bought properties, and those properties cannot be sold. This is not one of those properties. I want to be clear about that. But as I'm presenting the pros and cons of of this potential sale, I want to be clear that this property was bought by the city for the purpose of eliminating a building that's in the floodplain, and we would now essentially be granting permission to somebody to build a building in the floodplain, because that's what she intends to do with the property. That's just for your information, for you to consider. I don't have a recommendation based on that. The reason I'm bringing this to you tonight primarily is because, Council, you previously gave the administration authority to consider the purchase or sale, the sale of city-owned properties, enter into the contract, have Ms. Garrett sign the contract, and then bring it to you at the end of the process, so long as that contract was contingent upon council approval. But that was specifically for small parcels of land that didn't require bidding. This one would require us to bid, and so I don't feel like this particular parcel falls within that prior authorization. And so I feel like I need council's consensus to move forward with this project before I go try to enter into a contract with this woman to buy the piece of property from us. What we typically do in this situation is we would get an appraisal on the property, and then we would sell the property for its appraised value plus the transaction cost, which is the cost of the appraisal, the cost of the survey, the cost of the bidding, and the other things that go along with that. And that's my recommendation to you tonight, is that you consider selling this piece of property for that transaction price. I've given you the cons. The pros are it gets another piece of property off of the city's property rolls. This is a piece of property that the city has to maintain as it is, and that is not currently on the tax base. So if you sell it, you're eliminating that maintenance requirement, and you're putting a piece of property back on the tax rolls.
And it will have to be built with the current standards today.
Right.
I suspect the property that was there prior to, the standards are a lot different than today.
Would that mean that it would have to be at an elevated,
It's gonna have to meet the
be
floodplain.
elevated, and it would be, the structure would essentially be out of the floodplain,
And that was gonna be my question. If it's in the floodplain, how can you build in a floodplain?
just build up higher.
It's not floodway, it's floodplain, so.
And they will have to meet the requirements of the building.
Now, it would not have to be bid if an adjacent property owner requested to purchase it.
The adjacent property owner exception is for small parcels of land that generally can't be used for other things. There's about 4 or 5, I'm looking at Linda, 4 or 5 subcategories that are exceptions that allow you to do that to an adjacent, allow you to sell it to an adjacent property owner. This isn't one of those categories.
Okay.
Doesn't seem like, at least from my perspective, it seems like we ought to just go ahead and sell it to them. You know, if she wants to build there and take her chances, as long as she's building it up to whatever our current code is, I mean, that's a decision, it seems to me, that's more personal for her to factor in than it is for us.
Put some land back on the tax roll instead of another burden on the city.
So you'll bring something back for us
Yeah, this
later.
is not something I need a formal vote
Right,
on. I just
right.
want to
I'm
make
good.
sure, and it looks like I've got consensus from council. I'm not hearing any objection. And so I'll move forward with contacting the citizen and moving forward with the process.
Okay, very good, thank you. So that concludes city manager reports. Work session?
Had it on there, we had a couple of presentations, but we put those off to the 28th. That's the health fund and the CVB fund. And then really, it was just if there was any questions, because we'll do the first vote on the budget next Thursday, the 28th. There'll also be your first public hearing on the tax rate. So,
Very good. Well, I don't think we're going to go into any further discussion on the budget at this point. Anybody interested? I don't think so. We'll save that for the 28th. Okay, so seeing that so, and we have no executive session, we are adjourned.
yes, sir.
Thank you all for your patience. We covered a lot of business tonight.